Empire. This is another episode of the Football Jones podcast. I am Mike Jones, coming to you from Foxborough, Massachusetts, where the New England Patriots have improved to 8-0 after knocking off the Cleveland Browns pretty handily, thanks to a studly performance from their defense. Gonna catch up today with two of those guys, defensive back Duron Harmon and cornerback Stephon Gilmore. And after that, we're gonna get some analysis from Boston Globe Patriots beat writer Nora Princiotti. Really interested to hear her perspective on this team because she sees them every day. But I came away from them very impressed. And this is not a perfect team, but it's definitely, I think, the best team in this league and the favorites to win the Super Bowl because of their defense. And that was evident on Sunday's performance. The way that their defense set the tone with 3 quick takeaways in the first quarter. And then they really basically continued to hold the Browns in check while the offense figured things out. And that's the way it's been for much of this season. Offense is still trying to address some things, and Nora's going to get to that later in this episode. But right now, we're going to go inside the locker room. Here we go. Patriots defensive back, Duron Harmon. What's the key? You guys had a good defense last year, but you guys are another level this year. I mean, what happened?
We got a lot of guys coming back. We found out how we needed to play kind of like the last 6 games of the season, the last 3 regular season. I think it was 2 in the last 3 pro season games. Just kind of figure out how we wanted to play, what we were good at. And, you know, when you play that well and you come back and you have something to build off of, and then you add a guy like Jamie Collins, I mean, the defense is just going to be pretty good, and we've gotten better. We've got more explosive, been able to, score the football. And when you're able to score the ball on defense, it does wonders for the team.
To have 3 takeaways on back-to-back, how crazy was that? What was it like?
It was crazy. The energy was crazy in the stadium. But it just shows what we're capable of on the defense. Obviously, they had some success running the ball, but, one thing that can always just, deflate the team is just turnovers. And when you get them, like you said, back to back to back, it really put the Browns in a tough spot. But they kept fighting, and you got to respect them for that. They kept fighting. They made it a hard-fought game that took 60 minutes for us to win.
For you guys, obviously, everybody, your offense is something they're figuring out spots, guys figuring out roles. But do you guys take pride that your defense kind of carry them, give them time to kind of figure things out as they go?
Yeah, I would never say carry. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I know. We aid them. We help them. We help them. They help us. We help them.
Right.
We talk about it all the time. It's a complimentary football game when you're playing good teams like the Browns. You need all phases. You need special teams. You need defense. You need offense. We need to play off of each other. And today was a day where we played off each other. We got good field position. We played good defense. We could stop the run a little bit better, but that's something, they have a great running back and they had a great offensive scheme for running the ball. So they did a good job today. We did a better job today, and that's why we was victorious.
I know every week there's a different challenge. You got a crazy one next week.
Yeah, Lamar Jackson.
Yeah. What do you expect with that?
It's going to be tough. It's going to be like today. We got a nice stretch coming with a lot of good football teams. We're going to be able to really see what type of football team we want to be and what type of football team we're going to be. Like I said, Lamar Jackson next week, we all know, probably the most electrifying player in the league. He can do it running the ball, throwing the ball, then he has a lot of skill, around him. They've been doing a good job of just being able to run the football in all situations. It's Sunday night. It's going to be a great atmosphere. I'm going to enjoy this one tonight, but I'm looking forward to that.
All right, man. Thanks a lot.
All right, no problem, brother. All right.
All right, that was Harmon there, and now we're going to go a couple lockers over to Stephon Gilmore and talk to him about his perspective on what makes this defense so good.
The way they put this defense together, what is it that makes you guys so just dominant and opportunistic like this?
Coaching, smart players, everybody trusting each other, playing aggressive, and that's what it takes. I think that's why we in the position we are now.
Is it a mindset thing as well?
It's mindset. It's a little bit of everything. Like I said, we got a lot of smart players and a lot of instinctive players. And and coaches put us in the best position to make plays. So it's all of us playing together as a team.
What does it take to get everybody? You have so many different people, but get them all on the same page, so that way you guys can play fast. You have the trust. You know where guys are going to be. You know what goes into that.
Just practice. Us talking to each other during the week, during preparation and film study with each other, and once we get out there on Sundays, it's easy. We just gotta, play fast and trust each other, and it's like homework during the week, and get your results on Sunday. So that's what's fun about it.
You have another challenge coming up of a different kind next week with Lamar Jackson. What do you expect going against an athlete like that at the quarterback position?
He's one of the best athletes in the league, and then he got the ball every snap. So it's gonna be a big challenge for us, and I can't wait to study him up and try to see what we can do to try to get a win.
Is it exciting to go against challenges like that?
For sure, it's exciting every week. Everybody come for us every week, and and that's why you play in this league, to play against great players like that.
All right, appreciate both of those guys' time. And what we didn't hear there was later on at the press conference, after I talked to those guys, Devin McCourty talked about just the freedom that Bill Belichick gives them. He preaches accountability, he preaches preparation and attention to detail, and he trusts the leaders of that defense to set a tone. And he said that basically Belichick has told him and the other leaders of this defense, look, every single play, you basically got 5 options inside of our defense, the framework of our defense. You've got options. And I'm going to leave it up to you guys based on formation, based on personnel, based on situation to make the play call. McCourty said that Belichick actually said, I don't want to make a play call and mess you up because coaches mess up games most of the time. 9 times out of 10, I'm going to trust you guys to make the right call. So go for it. And that was really interesting to me that Belichick, who is known for running such a tight ship, really has a very hands-off approach during games for his defense because he trusts those guys so much. As the two guys told us, they've got a really good chemistry, they've got an attention to detail and good accountability, and because they're all on the same page, it allows them to play freely, play fast, and also they prepare very well because they know they owe it to their coach and to each other to be prepared for everything. So now, going to get the expert's opinion of this Patriots team and what their prospects are, where we see them going in the second half of the season. As we mentioned there, up next is Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. But first, we're going to talk to Nora about what issues the offense is still trying to sort out and how this defense is helping them, and a little bit of other things in between. Here we go. Nora Princiotti of the Boston Globe and I talking Patriots. And now here we are with my good friend, Nora Princiotti of the Boston Globe. And she is a Patriots beat writer, used to cover the Redskins. I tell you, every week I have another guest that used to work with me on the Redskins beat, and now she is a big deal up here in Boston, covering the Patriots. Nora, I'm really happy to have you in Football Jones.
I'm very happy to be here. I also, for those listening, Mike and I are sitting directly across from each other in the press box at Gillette Stadium, and it's a very funny setup. I wish this were a visual medium, but it is lovely to be here.
It is very lovely to be here. Everybody is cleaning out. It is dark. Is it midnight yet? I don't know. It feels like we've been here all day long.
No, it's not even close. It's 10 p.m.
It feels like we've been here forever. The Patriots just got another win. They're 8-0. What do you make of this team? You see them every single week. They just seem like they are just a machine on defense, still figuring out stuff on offense, but still the best team in the league.
Yeah, so to put it really simply, I think the best way to think about the Patriots is they are a team that has a historically good defense that can keep them in any game, basically no matter what shape the offense is in. And the offense is figuring a lot of things out. The number one issue is that they are having trouble blocking.
Okay. Why is that?
Well, they just played a game with 3 backup linemen, ultimately, including a guy playing right guard in James Ferentz who didn't make the initial roster and then was brought back and is supposed to be a center.
Okay.
So he's out of his natural position. He's also a guy who, was on the cusp of making the team in the first place. So basically, I mean, you can trace it all the way back to when they were bringing in guys like Jared Valdir, who ended up retiring, and they've really been hit in a lot of different ways on their offensive line. It's not just the blocking from the line, though. It's also that their starting fullback and then the fullback that they found out of nowhere through the International Pathway Program. Both of those guys are on IR. They're not getting a lot of blocking from their tight ends right now. So the offense is really limited in that way right now. So I think that's, we talk about the receiver situation. We talk about the tight ends in terms of what they can do for the passing game. But to me, what it really boils down to is, do they have the blocking? They got to protect Tom Brady, obviously, but do they have what they need to let downfield passes develop, let those routes develop, and then also to get their run game going at least enough to be multidimensional.
And so I guess the good thing is, while they try to figure all that stuff out, their defense is so dominant. How much longer do you think it's going to take for them to figure it out offensively so they can reach that level, or will they ever reach a similar type of level offensively?
So I don't think that you're going to get the same kind of thing that they developed towards the end of last season and that carried them through the playoffs, where they had a dominant offensive line and were powered by a running game that was really helped by the presence of James Devlin, their starting fullback, who's on IR and in theory could come back, but is pretty unlikely to. They've already brought N'Keal Harry back to practice off IR, and we're expecting that the second guy they bring back will be Isaiah Wynn, their left tackle. So it will get better, because Wynn in particular, if he comes back, that's a major upgrade to your offensive line. Marshall Newhouse is doing a pretty good job for who he is right now, but it's just, you're going to have a few plays every game where it's like, there's a reason this is a veteran journeyman, this wasn't plan A, and that's fine. So I think that they will get better. I think the trade for Mohamed Sanu was also a big one in particular, because it's going to allow Julian Edelman to play more on the outside, which there's this myth around Julian Edelman where I think half the country thinks he's a slot receiver.
Right.
The Patriots want that guy playing a pretty decent chunk of his snaps on the outside.
Okay.
So they will be happier about their situation on offense in a few weeks' time, especially once, if asterisk, I'm pretty sure it's going to happen, Isaiah Wynn comes back, and they can also, as soon as next week, get N'Keal Harry back on the field. I don't know that it'll be to the same extent as what they were doing in the Super Bowl and the playoffs last year, but it will get better.
Okay. Everybody always wants to know about Tom Brady. Do you see signs of age, or does he look like the same guy to you? You see him every single day.
I think he is the same. I mean, that laser of a pass that he zipped to Sanu on fourth down was one of the best passes I feel like I've seen this year. I mean, he's still got it. It's just that the last few games before this year that we saw him playing in, I mean, he didn't get touched. He was in such a good situation. They had really figured out their identity on offense, and it took a long time last year.
Right.
I mean, this time last year, we were having these kinds of conversations, but they did figure it out. I don't know that the context is there for them to do that to the same extent this year, but I think what we're seeing has more to do with the situation. I think we're still seeing enough, they're more than flashes, but enough sort of high-level moments from Brady where, to me, he's still got it.
He's still got it. And so their defense, if they play the way they are, they figure out stuff on offense, you still think they can go win the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
Yeah. No hesitation there. You should see her face. It was just like, are you crazy? Of course.
Well, sometimes I think about this. This is going to be way too existential. So since I've covered this team, they've gone to the Super Bowl every year, which, except for my short stint in Washington, which was really only over an off season, has been every year that I've covered professional football. So I do sometimes wonder if I'm like a little just brain warped, where I've never seen anything different. So why would I expect anything different? But I think they have a genuinely historically good defense that will keep this up. Basically, I mean, they could start allowing 13 points a game or something,
right,
and that would be falling off the pace that they've set, but will basically continue to be incredibly impressive even when they're playing better offenses than they have to the start of the season. One of my colleagues over the weekend did a really good piece just analyzing the performance of this defense relative to other great defenses, and then also looking into that to see what the strength of schedule was like in the offenses that those teams were facing and that the Patriots were facing. And what he found was that, yes, this has not been good competition, but the drop-off of how those offenses, bad as they have been, have played against the Patriots versus how they've played against any other team in the NFL is more than all of those other great defenses.
Okay.
So there is something significant going on here. So I think the defense will carry them, and I do think that the offense will get better, though I don't know that you're going to see them, putting up 40 points a week, ever.
Where's their first big test going to be?
I think it's next week.
Okay.
I think it's the Ravens.
Right, okay.
You got a mobile quarterback. I feel like I'm contradicting myself because really heart of hearts, I don't see anything giving the defense a huge amounts of trouble, but in the past that's been something that they've struggled with, and it's on the road. The problem though is you can cite the mobility thing in the quarterback, but what we've seen more than anything else is that the young guys are just totally flummoxed against Belichick and the versatility and the constant shifting of this defense. So I'm not going to pick the Ravens, but I think it will be a good test.
All right, good deal. Well, Nora, I'm going to let you get out of here. Thank you so much for your knowledge. Tell everybody where they can find you.
In the Boston Globe, bostonglobe.com. My Twitter's at Nora Princiotti, and, I'm around.
And she's around. And we'll be reading her all the way till late February after she covers another Super Bowl. And there we go.
We're all very spoiled, All
right, Nora, thanks a lot.
Thanks, Jonesy.
All right, so that was that with Nora. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. We're going to come to you again later this week. Thanks again to Duron, Harmon, and Stephon Gilmore for their time, and Nora Princiotti. Check out her work. Drop me an email if you have any questions, suggestions about the podcast, what you want to hear, what you like, what you don't like. I'm constantly trying to learn, trying to get better, and I want to make sure that I'm giving you the best information as possible. If I didn't mention it already, my email address, mjones@usatoday.com, or you can just tweet me at @ByMikeJones. Either way, hope you guys have a great day, and we'll talk to you later this week.